All right, and we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. One of my friends challenged me to go live every day. And so this is part of that challenge. My intention is to keep these pretty short, sweet, to the point, so you guys can get some digestible tips because I used to go live all the time, barely went live last year. So we're turning it around. Um, happy New Year, Ivan. So I'm actually excited to go live. I'm actually excited to be here this morning. And I'm after this, I'm gonna go rest and relax for the rest of the day. So I want to hop on really quickly though to talk about books and brands that make bake. Three things to consider when monetizing your thought leadership book and brand. This is so important, especially for those of you all who are looking to monetize your expertise, who are looking to capitalize on your thought leadership, who are looking to package your experience and the things that you know, the things that you do well, and make them work for you. So, one of the things that I think is extremely important to know about me is that, yes, I do help leaders to write books, but that is not all that we do. And I don't help everyone. I specifically work with experts, people who identify themselves as experts. These can be speakers, these can be consultants, people who have some type of professional training or professional background, or even those of you all who are leveraging your personal experience, but you have frameworks wrapped around them. And what I do is that I help you to monetize your expertise through writing and self publishing, launching and selling thought leadership books, and turning those books into signature talks, into live events, into memberships, into consulting offers and coaching programs that you can sell for high ticket. So, for those of you all, you want to do it, but you don't know where to start, I'm not the person for you because my people know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. They've already started, but they need the blueprint to actually put it all together and either monetize it or add it as an additional stream of revenue into their already existing business. So I know that today is January 1st. This is an absolutely phenomenal time for you to actually start thinking about, how you're going to make this year, your best year. And some of you, I actually already started annual planning, but let me tell you this, when you want to be seen and respected as a credible expert, as an authority in your industry, and when you want to actually monetize and have a way to generate income outside of having to actually show up and do manual work, then you need to have a book in your business. Like, it's not an option. And one of the reasons we have to talk about this, and I'm mentioning this, is because last year when I was talking to people, I heard it often. Oh, I'm writing a book, but it's on my to-do list. It's something that I want to do in the future. But let me tell you, this is something that you actually need to do immediately, because especially if you're trying to figure out how to stand out, if you're trying to figure out how to be set apart, if you're trying to figure out ways in which you can monetize and ways in which you can make passive income without actually having to do additional physical work, then creating the book is at the cornerstone of that, because it's going to position you to be able to make passive income. It's going to position you, your book should actually position you to create opportunities for yourself, whether that's getting in additional rooms, whether that's booking more speaking engagements, getting paid from speaking engagements, even the ones that you do so-called for free, right? Whether that's being able to get paid more from your coaching and consulting offers, all of it's at the core. Like, your book is going to be able to help you do that, because number one, it's going to help you to be able to refine your money message. It's going to be able to help you to position yourself as a credible authority as well. So I wanted to just come on really quickly to talk about three things that you need to consider when you are monetizing your thought leadership book and brand. So if you're ready, put ready in the chat. I know a lot of you all are probably still in the bed or in the house or whatnot, but if you're ready, put ready in the chat and let's get to it. Okay. Number one is that you need a topic that can be monetized. This means that you need to write your book on a topic, and it needs to be worded and phrased in a way in which the public and your ideal client understands. One of the mistakes that I see a lot of experts making when it comes to their books and their brands is, number one, they use overcomplicated or overly academic terminology. That is not going to sell in the market. It's not going to sell. It's not going to sell. They use overcomplicated and overly academic language and terminology. You can have all the degrees in the world, guys, but when you're writing a thought leadership book to elevate your brand, to amplify your voice, and when you are positioning your brand to make sales, then the overly academic jargon is not going to work. You have to really get very clear on what you do, who you help, how you do it, who you serve, and it needs to be worded and communicated in a way in which the general public can understand you. You, again, usually using overly academic terminology or just trying to be deep for the sake of sounding deep, that is not going to sell. A lot of you all are cannibalizing your sales simply because nobody knows what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about, but you're not building your brand for yourself. You're not writing your book for yourself. You're writing it to help other people. You're creating your brand so that you can generate income and actually have a profitable business. This means that you have to be able to speak to people in a way that resonates with them. How you do things, you got to step outside of you and actually start doing things in a way that's going to appeal to your audience, okay? So you have to speak in a way that appeals to your audience, but you actually need to write a book on a topic that people want, that people want enough to invest in. So this means that you're probably going to have to do some market research. People typically will invest. What are those like 3 to 4 key areas? If it has something to do with money, love, relationship, money, love, and health. So if you can find a way to tie what it is you do to one of those key cornerstones, either helping someone to increase their income, increase what their take-home pay, right? Increase their money, increase their mental health, increase their or improve their mental health, improve their physical health, or either relationships, love, platonic friendships, with children, with family members, with a spouse, right? This is what it is. Relationships, that's where you have your team building at as well. So relationships / love, health and wellness, and finances. Those are the 3 key buckets that you know, that's the 3 key buckets that people will buy for. So you have to figure out, how does what I do, how does what I do tie into one of these? That's it. And does this mean that you're going to have to be creative? Probably. And let me tell you this, and for those of you all who are doing something that doesn't necessarily help people to make money, the personal growth and development space and the career growth and development space are billion-dollar industries, guys. So this is where you probably going to have to tie it more into that relationship building or health and wellness is not necessarily working out. That's mental health, it's stress reduction. Y'all, come on. So this is where you have to go deeper and actually begin researching those, researching how you can find these connectors, okay? Number 2, all right? The second thing that you need to consider when you're monetizing your thought leadership book and brand, all right? Whether you are coming out with a book or whether you're coming out with a program, you have to have an audience. Nobody is going to buy from you if they don't know who you are. If you have not been intentional with curating an audience, you have to curate an audience. And one of the easiest ways to curate an audience is by creating content. When I say creating content, y'all, we can't just creating Canva posts. That's 2015, that's 2016. That's not going to convert in 2025. You all are building personal brands. You got to be visible. You've got to come with some strategies. You've got to come with some tips. People need to be able to see you. They need to be able to hear your voice. They need to be able to read your strategies or glean from your strategies and your tips. This is what it is. This means that, especially for my professionals, you've got to get over your fear of being visible. And for some of you, you can pre-record videos, but you need to be using a tool to live stream them out. You cannot, if you want to grow in the social media space, because some people don't want to be on social media, which is absolutely cool. But if you don't want to be on social media, that means that you got to be okay going places in person and networking in person and having a visibility and an offline visibility and networking plan in place, whether that's giving, lunch, doing lunch and learns, doing some talks, going to Chamber of Commerce's, going to, different organizational and association meetings. Either way, you still have to be visible, whether it's going to be building up your client base and getting referrals. Now, for those of you all who might not have the time, space, and energy to always show up in person, then you can leverage the online space, which is what I did to grow my brand. You've got to choose, you've got to pick your poison. Either you're going to be committed to showing up in person and going to networking events and meetings and stuff, or you're going to have to be committed to showing up virtually. It's one or the other. Okay. You've got to build an audience, because when you drop your item for sale, then you need people that are ready to buy. And so this means that you need to start. Let me close this chat off real quick. This means that you need to actually start taking people from social media and bringing them into your ecosystem. Okay? Because when you bring them into your ecosystem is your email subscribers. Your ecosystem is your text list. All right? Places where you can actually build a relationship. Because for instance, I have people who watch me on YouTube, who watch me on Facebook, who might watch me on Instagram when I pop up there. But the people that are part of my tribe, I have people who listen to my podcast, but the people who are part of my tribe, they are my subscribers. They're tuning in to everything that I put out. They're not just watching, they are subscribing, they've got their alerts on, or they've opted in. Now, you want to make sure that you actually begin to transition your audience from looking at you on socials to actually being in your ecosystem, because you will own your database of your clients. You will own that database of information. So that means that no matter what's going on social media, if they choose to shut down a platform, or if one of these platforms is not working, you can still communicate with your people. It's not going to stop the flow of business. I hope this makes sense. So this means that you need a strategic way to move people from one platform into your ecosystem. Typically, this is going to be from some type of opt-in or lead magnet. Okay? Whether it's a checklist, whether it's a class that you do, whether it's a PDF, whether you take a chapter out of your book and create a lead magnet with some additional resources with it. You need a way for people to access that content. But in order to access that content, they need to give you their information. Now, of course, you're going to have some unsubscribers. We're not worried about those. We only concern ourselves with the people that are actively clicking on the links, with the people who are opening the emails, with the people who are reading. But you've got to begin to take people and transition them from these platforms, or even for those of you all who speak. You should not be leaving a speaking engagement without getting people in the audience to subscribe into your opt-in. You've got to begin building your list. I see way too many speakers, and they go and they speak, but you're not, but the relationship ends there. You might not have a book, and you're not also giving people a way to continue to glean from you, to learn from you, to connect with you in your ecosystem. You are missing out on income. You're missing out on plenty of opportunities by not having these systems in place. So you need opt-in systems. You need, ways for people to come into your email list, your text list, your ecosystems. Okay. Number 3, you absolutely need a thought leadership book. Now, and I'm very intentional and specific with saying thought leadership, because there are a lot of people who have books out here, but the content is not focused, the content is not structured, and the title of the book is not clear and concise. The actual cover design isn't even what it needs to be. Like if you were to put your book on the shelf in Barnes and Nobles, like with a traditionally published book, it wouldn't compete because yours looks self-published. It doesn't need to look self-published. You need a thought leadership book that is written on a specific topic that you are the expert in which you are not just sharing your story, but you are also giving actionable strategies and tips on how to help your readers achieve a specific outcome. That is the difference. And I see a lot of quote unquote experts writing books and publishing them that look very amateurish. And let me tell you something, it's small adjustment. It's small things that make your book look amateurish. Like I saw somebody recently, on Instagram, who released a book. And I'm like, I just wish they would have came to me for some help, because the cover looks very, very basic. The back cover did not even have a barcode, didn't have an ISBN. I mean, it was missing basic structural, elements. The back cover synopsis was all one lumped up paragraph. There were no paragraphs. There were no, bulleted points. There was no closing. There wasn't even, like an author bio. Like it didn't look professional. It looked very amateurish. But this person was an absolute beast in what they do. Like there are costs to the do-it-yourself route. And a lot of times what I find is that people don't want to pay for the help that they really need because they feel like they're smart enough to figure it out on their own. But the truth of the matter is that you're an expert in what you're an expert in. But when it comes to another industry, you're not an expert in that just because you can go through the motions to create, the most basic product that you can create. Like creating the most basic product that you can create is going to cost you money down the line, because you're not going to be able to sell that book in bulk. There's just a lot of things you're not going to be able to do with that product. And you're going to end up having to redo it because you didn't do a great job in the beginning. So you want to make sure, and there are some other elements that I'm not going to go into here because this was meant to be a very short live stream. And so for that reason, I'm not going deep into answering a lot of questions or going deep into strategy. I do those in my workshops. All right. Number 4, before we close out, you need a solid success plan for how you are going to monetize your book after it comes out. Most authors who write books, or even when they work with writing coaches, they just focus on the actual book and the content, and not how you're actually going to turn this into something, how you're going to monetize this. Not, and when I say how you're going to monetize it, I'm not talking about the ways. A lot of people can say, hey, yeah, you can turn this into a signature speech, you can turn this into a course, but I'm actually talking about the strategy to bridge your book to your business and actually make money from it. So this goes beyond having the idea, because I said 3 things. I'm giving you guys a 4th thing, and this is a bonus. This goes beyond just having the book and having an idea of what you want to do with it or how you want to monetize it when it comes out. But this actually involves the actual strategy of how you're going to monetize it, how you're going to monetize the launch beyond the book sales, and how you plan to keep the momentum going for at least 6 to 12 months after the book comes out. A lot of folks, they write books, they launch them, family, friends buy them, you have an influx of cash and you're excited, but about 30 to 45 days after the official release, then it's crickets. But that's when the work starts. And a lot of experts don't plan for success beyond their book after the launch. But that's that prime opportunity, because you already have started the momentum. Now it's about maintaining the momentum. Now it's about leveraging your product to expand and amplify your brand. Now it's about leveraging your product to continue to increase your visibility and expand your credibility and truly monetize. And that's what people don't do. Yes, you can relaunch books. If you released a book last year, you should be promoting your book. You should be talking about it. You should be creating content from it. But all too often, people create it, they launch it, then they move on to the next, instead of leveraging it to help them to continue to create the next. You should be using it for YouTube content, video content, however you choose to do video, whether you're streaming, simultaneously on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. But content, emails, blogs, programs, events, at the very least, you should create a whole entire year's worth of videos to where you're releasing video content every single week and repurposing that audio for your own podcast or signature show. At the very least, as well as making strategic collaborations, working with other people and getting in front of other people's audiences. Making sure that you are working with, people who have a complementary industry, and making sure that you're getting in front of their audiences. This is what's going to help you grow and expand. One of the books that I actually read it in January of last year, and I'm probably going to read it again on audio because it's such an amazing mindset book, is The Miracle Equation by 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐬𝐡𝐞𝐝. And I like 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐝. If you've ever read The Miracle Morning, he's the author of that whole Miracle Morning series. But one of the things that I absolutely loved about this book is 𝐏 was an independently published author. And in several of his books, he talks about some of the things that he did to build his brand and to, grow an audience and following and a community of over 100,000 people. What he didn't do was write his book and then disappear. That's what he didn't do. What he didn't do is write his book and then go on to the next. What he did do was focus in on that one book and on the messaging and on expanding his visibility around it for a minimum of 1 year. So my question to you is, can you commit yourself to sharing one message, to selling one product, to selling one program for a minimum of 1 year consistently? A lot of us didn't get the results in 2024 that you wanted to get because you were too busy bouncing from thing to thing and just not focused. You're starting on one thing, then you have shiny object syndrome, then you want to go to the next. You just weren't locked in. You're trying to create all these, 101 different digital products for what? Why are you trying to create 10 and 20 and 30 different digital products when you're not selling one consistently? Like, this is where we have to start really getting down to the nitty-gritty and looking at what we're doing. Okay. But I want you to ponder on that question today. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Again, my friend, she challenged me to going live every day. Well, I said for a year, every day for 90 days. So my goal is to keep these short. This one was a little bit over time. So I've got some work to do on my time, on my timing, because I want these to be bite-sized trainings, 10 minutes or less, where you can come in every single day and get a nugget and take it with you. And so I'm actually used to doing longer. So like I realized like this one, I probably could have just broke it up and done a different element every single day this week. But anyway, I'm excited for the challenge. I hope that this was helpful for you all. Later this month, I will be doing a workshop for those of you all who are ready to learn how to write a book. For those of you all who not just write a book, but write a book that's going to actually generate income. Okay. So I'm really excited for the workshop. So make sure that you stay tuned because we'll be opening up registration for it very soon. All right. Until next time, I will see you guys. Peace, love, and impact.